Viewers and subscribers, welcome back on this platform, BVI Channel 1, where truth is the gospel we preach. Let me quickly respond to the governor of Lagos State, and I hope you help me share this video until it gets to him. I came in contact with a video of him and some out-of-school children he met on his way. That video really touched me. His interaction with the children and his further reaction to that very video of himself. Now, he said something particularly with respect to the parents, but I'm going to highlight on the part of the government. But before then, watch the video. I'll be right back.
Is it a private school or government school?
Right.
So your parents haven't paid. Is that why you're not going? Oh, they haven't paid. How? Is it Hausa?
But I've not been to Lagos.
Oh, you just came to Lagos. From where? From which state? Kano. Father Lord Almighty. How old are you? 12. How old are you? 9. So where you go? You're going to grind pepper for your parents there.
Yes.
Where do they stay?
Anthony.
Eh?
Anthony.
Antony.
Yes.
How can I get to your parents now? Do you know their number? You are 9, you are 12, okay? You realize that I came in a bit late this morning, and that speaks to the reality of where we find ourselves as a people. And that makes nuisance of whatever speech that have been given to me, because it affords me an opportunity to speak straight from my heart and to tell you a clear testimony of what happened this morning. So can I have the pictures? So we're driving to this venue this morning. So this is the picture. This is me wearing a white shirt. So this is this is a classic example of what we go through in Lagos. This is the road that takes you from Antony Village onto Ikorodu Road. So I stopped because I saw something that bleeds my heart. 2 little girls, ages 9 and 12, carrying buckets on their head to go and grind pepper at 11 o'clock in the morning. See how beautiful they both look. See how vulnerable they are. And see the risk that we're putting them to. And I'll tell you their story, because I've taken it upon myself that these 2 girls will never suffer what we saw this morning. It will be a simple example, working with an initiative like Sweepy and all of us. We do not need to be a governor. We don't need to be a first lady for us to just change our environment. I stopped the convoy and they were scared. And I asked them not to be scared, that she should tell me who they are. The lady that is in something that appears as a school uniform, because we're going to find out. Her name is Chidima Amarachi. She's 9 years old. Guess what she said? She said she's not going to go to school until Monday. And I asked her why. She said her parents cannot afford. She mentioned the name of the school. Of course, it's a private school. So my question is, if as a parent, you cannot afford to put your child in a private school, there are so many public schools, public primary schools, that were doing great things. We have Eco Excel that are doing great things. Why would you defer and deny, please let's leave the picture, and deny a 9-year-old girl from not going to school? So to go out there with all of the things that we hear about, rape, kidnapping, the risk everywhere. And you can see our innocence. But we've gone ahead to find out. Her mother was a teacher. So I'm not going to leave her alone. But she's now an house help somewhere, because the crew were followed up this morning. And that you can see that's Amarachi for you there. Amarachi will go back to school by the grace of God. And she will be somebody that I will follow up to till when she finishes her education. The second young girl, her name is Suebat. You can see from her hijab, pretty looking young girl. She's 12 years old. Guess what? She's not in school. She could speak English. She could pick it together, but she's not in school. Why? Her parents, they just relocated from Jigawa State to Lagos over a month ago. And so there is no plan at all for her for them to register in school. This is a classic example of what we need to do differently as a society. This is an example of what we all need to take up in this room as an example. So they will not ask the question, what brought the parents to Lagos? That's not for this gathering. But since you've taken a decision to bring a 12-year-old to Lagos, and there are public schools that you don't need to pay a dime to get into. This is Antony Village. It's not in the suburb of Lagos. This is in the heart of a city. And they're going to grind pepper, they're going to grind beans at 11 o'clock in the morning. These two girls will indeed be under my care and the care of the First Lady. And so you know out there are several Amarachi and there are several Suebat who will not have the opportunity that I'll be driving past and I'll take the decision to stop and hear their story.
Good. You saw that video. It had been circulating. In fact, the governor of Lagos State and his media team had been circulating this video and trying to portray an example. In fact, I must say that the governor of Lagos State is doing a very good job on the part of, trying to, identify with the suffering of Lagosians, coming out on the street. And in so many cases, I've seen him on the street, trying to have that interaction with the people, direct contact with the ordinary people on the street. I give it to him. Honestly, I give it to him. And I now want to respond to critical part of what he said concerning parents that are trying to take their children to private school, which they cannot afford. Honestly, he made a very vital point. I agree with him, but let me now remind him that it is as a result of the failed public system in terms of education. I believe that some governors are trying to uplift their educational standard. I'm talking about the public educational standard, the provision of good and quality education, having good learning environment in our public schools. Some governors are trying to meet up with that demand to some extent. But let him understand and see how far Nigerians have lost hope completely, including the poor of the poorest, do not even want to take their children to public school. Because it amounts to it amounts to you not even taking your children to school at all, because they will learn nothing. That is how bad our public sector had become. Talking about education. Now, it is now a challenge. What I want the governor of Lagos State and his counterparts across Nigeria, for those of them that still have some listening ears and some level of atom of sense in them, should now take this as a challenge to improve their public school. Raise it up to become the standard for private schools. Private schools are really exploitative. They are really cashing in to the failed system. They are cashing in to fill in the gap of public schools that have failed. And that's why corruption, desperate attempt to get money at all costs, have soared very high in Nigeria. Everybody wants to take their children where they can learn something. And it is very expensive. That is why a public servant will continue. His salary is not enough for the person. Like a police officer, a public servant or civil servant, or even people working as bankers and the rest of them. Nigerians, generally traders. The root cause of corruption in Nigeria is embedded in the failed public sector. Let me talk. That's the reason people want to take their children to private schools instead of public schools. People want to take their family to private hospitals instead of public hospitals, because all these have failed. And the prices for these services at the private sector is very high. That's why everybody must want to meet up. They must cut corners. They must do anything possible. That's why corruption is uncontrollable in Nigeria. That's why you cannot stop it. So it is resting on the shoulders of these governors to do the right thing by setting the standard with the public sector, the schools, the hospitals, and other public utilities. They should set the standard so that it could be affordable and accessible to the people. So that these children, these children is just 1 out of million or 2 out of millions of children roaming about the street. They can't go to public school. Not that they cannot afford it, but they can't afford to take their children to public school where they will learn nothing. That is just the problem. So, Mr. Sanwo-Olu, do the needful. We want all schools in Lagos State, all public schools in Lagos State, to be the standard that the private schools will be copying. And I can tell you, it is not about speaking grammar and trying to show how intelligent and smart you are. No, it is about doing the needful, going to the grassroots, going to the root cause of the problem to solve it. It's not about promising to give these children quality education. What about millions of other children that you didn't meet on the street? This is very important. This is what I want Nigerian leaders to be looking at. I'm not just talking to the governor of Lagos State. I'm talking to all the governors in Nigeria, whether from the east, west, north, and south. Education is no longer a privilege. It is a right of every child. And as long as the government continue to fail the Nigerian children, the Nigerian people, in terms of this education, they have ultimately failed and denied these children their future. And Nigerians, you must insist to demand that every public sector should work, especially the schools. They are making laws to demolish buildings erected by kidnappers or Yahoo people. But they failed to make laws that will ensure that the children of the politicians in government attend public schools in Nigeria. That way, they will start fixing some of these things. It will not be a long grammar. They will start fixing the public schools so that parents will easily take their children to public school. And if you decide to take your children or your child to private school, then you know that you're just doing it out of the abundance of the money you have. But the ones that we say, let the standard be of good standard. The public schools, let it be of good standard. That way, Governor Sanwo-Olu, you will not need this drama that you just displayed. I'm just giving you an advice. Likewise, all your colleagues in Nigeria. Nigerian people, if you think this message is worth it, share it. Let Nigerians understand what good governance stands for. And that is what we're preaching. And that is why it is necessary you support good governance ministry. If there are schools in your area that is not working, public schools, report it. Record it. Send it to me. Send it to good governance ministry. The oppressed people. I'm the voice of the ordinary people. Send it across. bring it out and table it out, iron it out, and I tell you, things will begin to work. There is no other way to fix it. Thank you very much. Please help me share this video and get it across to everyone that needed to see it. God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And follow us on all our social media platforms. Stay safe.